Hello and welcome to another edition of the Falcon Focus podcast. As is the case every Tuesday, we come to you live outside the Falcons Nest, the student union. My name is Matt Menzl, and from 9:30 to 10 a.m. we recap the week that was, preview the week that will be in Falcon athletics. As again, you can watch us here live as you are right now on Facebook Live. You can watch the archive at cuwfalcons.com. You can download the audio thanks to Podbean, and you can find that link as well via the Falcon website. And before we look at the weekend, we will be joined by a couple of guests, as is usually the case. We'll be talking women's golf with senior Kayla Haen as they get ready for the NAC tournament, looking to defend their championship from last year. A remarkable comeback on that final day. And we'll also look at men's soccer as they have another busy week with road matchup at Edgewood and a home matchup against Aurora. Cristian Tyrpak having a great start to his collegiate career. The sophomore will join us as already in 24 career games. He has recorded 10 goals and 3 assists. But again, we begin by taking a look at a week that was in Falcon athletics, a busy week across the board. And we begin by looking at women's volleyball. And for the volleyball team, on Tuesday last week, they knocked off the Edgewood College Eagles 3-1, 25-18, 25-19. Lost that third set, 26-24. Yet bounced back to win the matchup in set 4, 25-21. Amanda Schultz, a great week on the court for Schultz. She had 15 kills against the Eagles. Megan Mayer had 12 kills, fresh off being named the NAC Women's Volleyball Athlete of the Week. The volleyball team was finally home after they began the season with 10 consecutive away from the John Book Fieldhouse. Their first 10 at home came your way on Saturday, knocking off MSOE, making quick work of the Raiders. 3-0, 25-15, 25-19, and 25-15. And again, Amanda Schultz, who certainly is in the conversation for the NAC Women's Volleyball Athlete of the Week this week. She had 12 kills. And then Ariana Richmond, 11 digs as the team hit 348. And all of a sudden, the volleyball team has won 6 consecutive. They improved their record to 9 victories and a couple of defeats. They've now won 27 consecutive conference matches, and they've won 12 straight over MSOE. And they will be on the road this week against Concordia Chicago, but also at home coming up on Friday against Alverno. And the John Book Fieldhouse has been a tough place for opponents to win, as the Falcons the last couple of years have gone 24-2 on their home court. In men's soccer, the defending NAC regular season champions open up conference play this past Wednesday and knocked off Marion by the final score of 4-0. And for a second consecutive year against the Sabres, it was a 4-goal second half that put the Falcons in the win column. The game was scoreless at the break. Zach Jaritz, on his birthday no less, able to score a couple of goals. Our guest Cristian Tyrpak able to score, as did Tyler Salvador. In a game that would see Dago Diaz come through with 3 assists. Falcons were able to outshoot the Sabres 31-6. They would then lose at Benedictine by a 3-1 score on Saturday. Could not overcome an early 2-0 deficit. Lone goal scored by Dago Diaz, in which Simon Da Silva had the assist. The men's team right now with 4 victories and 4 defeats overall. They sit with 1 victory and 1 defeat in conference play, and perfect 4-0 so far at Fitting Field. In women's soccer, a busy week. They had 3 matches this past week, in which on Wednesday, their conference opener in Fond du Lac, they knocked off Marion by the final score of 4-1. Fell behind 1-0 early, did the women's soccer team. Bounced back thanks to a penalty kick. Ashley Johnson converting on that PK. Alexandra Tomic able to score a couple of goals. And then Isabel Downs continuing an outstanding freshman start to her career. And she was able to score her 3rd goal of the year in a game that would see the Falcons plus 10 in shots at 28-18. On Saturday, the women's soccer team downed Benedictine by a 1-0 final. In that victory, 54th minute, Isabel Downs able to score her team-leading 4th goal, as Nicole Soselsik had the assist. Shots were at 17-5 in favor of Concordia, and then they wrapped up the week with an impressive win on Sunday, winning at UW-Oshkosh, make it back-to-back years. The Falcons have knocked off the Titans in women's soccer. 2-0 final, in which they got goals in the 25th minute from Alexandra Tomic, also a goal from Ashley Johnson. Falcons were outshot in that game 20-9, but again, making the most of the opportunities that they were presented. As again, knocking off Oshkosh up the record now to 4-5 overall. They also sit 2-0 in conference play, and they go into the week having won 3 consecutive. Women's tennis, Friday and Saturday, they were at the ITA Regional Championship. That was from Gustavus Adolphus College. You can find the full results from this past weekend at cuwfalcons.com. ACHA men's hockey got underway, and in club hockey, they had their season opener Friday, lost at Marquette 4-1 before at home they knocked off, or I should say they lost to the Golden Eagles by a 7-1 score. And so for the ACHA men's hockey team, off to an 0-2 start, but they'll be back in action coming up this weekend against the DePaul Blue Demons. Women's golf was at the UW Whitewater Fall Invitational on Saturday and Sunday. They finished in 14th, shooting .796 for the 2 rounds. Whitewater, they finished in first with a showing of .635 for the 2 days. As mentioned, women's golf for the big week coming up. They will be in action for 3 days. NAC tournament as they try to defend their championship, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. In men's golf on Saturday and Sunday, they had the Wisconsin Lutheran College Fall Invitational. They finished in 3rd out of 11. They shot .765 for the 2 rounds. Edgewood taking first with a 2-day score of .737. Jordan Carlton, he shot a .147, 3 over par. That was good for 5th place individually. And finally in field hockey, they opened up conference play this past weekend. And on Saturday, they knocked off Transylvania 5-3. Megan McPike with her 2nd hat trick of the year. Kelsey Fulton and Sam Dunn also scoring goals. Falcons were +4 in shots at 18-14. Note that Carissa Fabel, her debut as the goalie, coming through with 9 saves in that conference opening victory. Then on Sunday, losing 9-2 at center, down 4-0, unable to recover despite a 2-goal effort by Megan McPike. Falcons were limited to just 3 shots in that loss. And now the field hockey team sits with 4 victories, a couple of defeats, 1-1 right now in conference play. And football, they had a bye week coming off that victory against Elma. They now prepare for conference play. We'll talk more about that during our 4th and final segment. That is the recap of the week that was. And again, you can check out all the recaps and stats from the week that was on CUWFalcons.com. When we come back here on the Falcon Focus podcast, we switch gears and talk women's golf. So we are joined by senior Kayla Haen. Stay tuned to tune into the Falcon Focus podcast.
The Student Personnel Administration in Higher Education, or SPAHI program at Concordia University is designed for people who want to work in the university setting in any department. So if you're interested in working in academic advising, campus activities, residence life, admissions, financial aid, this program is really designed for anyone interested in those areas. The mission of Concordia is to help students develop in mind, body, and spirit, and that was really evident in the program. I really enjoyed that I could be in class one night and take what I learned and apply it on the job the very next day. My name is Amber Schiesel, and I am a SPAHI graduate.
Welcome back to the Falcon Focus podcast. Again, we're live outside the Falcons Nest Student Union, and we're live on Facebook Live. And we are every Tuesday from 9:30 to 10 as we recap the week that was, preview the week that will be in Falcon Athletics. And again, you can watch the archive at CUWFalcons.com and also download the audio from Podbean, and that link also can be found on the Falcon website. We continue talking women's golf. Senior Kayla Haen kind enough to join us here this morning as they prepare for the NAC tournament this weekend, as we've been talking about, and we'll get to that in a moment. But Kayla, you're one of the seniors on this season's roster, and your thoughts on the way your senior year is kind of going at this point?
It's interesting. I mean, I'm just playing, one game at a time, having fun with it. I can't expect too much. So,
what was kind of your mindset, maybe your goals that you had coming into this fall season?
To be in the top 10 for conference. I mean, it's been my goal all 4 years, but fell short the first 3 years, so hopefully this year I'll get it.
As far as your game goes, anything change or anything that you're looking to improve on coming into this season?
Everything. I mean, everything I could work on. Putting, chipping, hitting the ball straight, all that, yeah.
It seems like the season goes fast, and already we're talking NAC championship, NAC tournament this weekend, and I want to kind of take you back event by event and kind of, recap your play and kind of get your thoughts on maybe the way the course played, maybe how you approached the invite. And the season began with the Carthage Invitational. You shot a team best 175. Your thoughts on that 2-round performance?
That was pretty fun. I mean, the second day it was raining, so that was kind of interesting. But I had fun. It's kind of interesting. The first day, I had some holes that I blew up on, like getting triple bogeys, but I had a lot of pars. And the second day, I was bogey golf, and it's pretty much the same score. It's just interesting how that works out.
You talk about the weather. Does that change your approach at all? Did that kind of change your mindset a little bit, or is that something you just have to be mentally tough and pretend like it's not happening?
Yeah, mentally tough. It doesn't bug me, though, the rain. I mean, it's just a little it's hard to grip the club, but other than that, it's just have to play.
Well, after the Mount Mary Triangular, you were back in action for the NAC preview event, and 102 tied for 13th. Kind of your thoughts on the way things went there in preparation, really, for this weekend.
That was kind of upsetting, but I just remember the greens were so fast, and I have a little bit of a stronger putt, which I should probably work on. Taking my time, slower backswing, or backstroke, I guess.
And we'll talk more about that course, too, because, again, you'll be right back in Racine this weekend. After the NAC preview event, you had the Marion Fall Invitational, shot at 94, tied for 13th. Your thoughts on the way things went that weekend?
It was fun. I had family watching, so that was kind of nice, a little booster, but I don't really remember that event, I'm not going to lie. Okay.
Is there pressure? I mean, you're from the Appleton area, so relatively close to the Fond du Lac area. Was there pressure there, knowing that you're close to home, that you had friends and family at the course?
Not really.
Don't think about it?
It's just kind of fun. It's just good, rewarding.
And then this past weekend, you had the UW Whitewater Fall Invitational. Again, your thoughts on the way things went this past weekend?
We haven't played that course, so that was very interesting. It was kind of a fun course. I really wish I could play it again because I thought the second day I could improve, but it didn't work out that way. But it's all right. That's how the game goes.
I know I asked this question when we talked men's golf, last week. Just preparation. You mentioned at Whitewater, that was a course that you're not, accustomed to. You haven't played before. Do you go about preparing? I mean, do you look at, a course sheet ahead of time? Do you just kind of go into it and kind of feel things out? How do you guys prepare for a course you're not familiar with?
Sometimes I look at the course beforehand and kind of just take advice from other people that have played there, or like looking at the scorecard of the map of the course. Just got to analyze it more when you play there.
And from one day to the next, maybe how's the mindset change, knowing that, again, you've been through it once, now you get to go through it again?
Yeah, and it's kind of upsetting that I didn't do better, but I mean, I still improved on some holes, so that's, I guess, all I can go for.
According to the roster, you're one of a couple of seniors on the team, so kind of a younger squad. Who are some of the other, I guess, golfers, teammates that have performed well, that you've seen improve as the season's gone along?
Emily Bubla has improved a lot. I know she's really trying hard to be within the top 5, which is really impressive. I mean, everyone's improving greatly. Molly is doing a little better. I mean, yeah.
Have you put pressure on yourself, being only one of a couple of seniors, and trying to provide that leadership?
Yes and no. I try not to put pressure because then it might mess with my game, but it's a little pressure, but I try not to let that bother me.
We talked about this a little bit about, your game going into your senior season, but as you look back at your college career, how have you seen your game change? Has it changed a great deal? Have you seen progress?
It's very up and down. At the beginning, I remember my first round I shot in the 80s, I don't remember, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know I had that capability. And then my average ended up being in the hundreds, and then it just slowly worked its way down to where it's at now. You
went to Xavier High School. Obviously, you were a golfer with the Hawks. Did you see yourself, as your high school career kind of developed, did you see yourself playing college golf, or how did that develop?
That actually, I was more focused on the school for the nursing program. That was my number one goal. And then kind of getting in golf or band, that's kind of just followed in place.
And I read on your bio that you can read at cwfalcons.com. You have an aunt who played on the LPGA Tour for a year and is a member of the Wisconsin Golf Hall of Fame. How, if at all, maybe did she influence, your passion for the game?
Definitely, yeah. My family has. I mean, I was brought up playing golf as little as I can remember. In high school, that's when it really hit to get a little more serious. But I mean, more career is my goal. I don't get to see her much since she lives far away, but when she does, we get to play sometimes. You
mentioned you started at a young age. Do you remember your first, golf experience or anything about your first?
No, I mean, my grandpa worked at a golf course. He was a pro, so I probably, since I was a baby, I was brought up there. But I don't know when I started holding a club, so
have you spent, growing up, did you spend a lot of time on the links?
Kind of.
Okay.
I mean, I was more focused on school, but yeah.
When you look at the game of golf, it could be both a great sport, but it can also be a frustrating sport. So when someone asks you, what do you love about the game? What frustrates you about the game? How would you go about maybe answering that?
The good shots really get you back. And I know there's some bad shots, but that's what the good shots make you come back. The long putts, chipping in, stuff like that. That's getting a birdie, simple as that. That's what gets you coming back.
And speaking of coming back, how about last season when you guys were able to come back in the NAC tournament, brought home the championship? What do you remember about that opportunity and just that whole experience last year?
That was crazy. I mean, we were behind 10, just thinking of going in, and I'm like, I had to play well. I was the last one coming in. I didn't know how far behind we were that last day. I was nervous. I mean, I could have three-putted that hole. Everyone's like, don't worry about it. You just play your game. But it pulled out through, so.
Well, I mentioned you guys, in preparation for this weekend, had the preview event back on September 9th. Who were some of the teams, outside of Concordia that maybe stood out to you would say, hey, we got to watch out for fill in the blank?
Aurora, definitely. They have some good new people in there, the freshman and a transfer student that playing really well this year. They're really nice girls, though. So.
well, Meadowbrook Country Club in Racine, that was the course for the preview event. It will be the course this weekend. What's your approach, or how does the course play?
Well, there's some difficult holes and there's some easy holes, on every course. We're going to have a practice event tomorrow that we're going to go there and just feel the course out one more time, make sure we got our clubs for the par threes and stuff like that, and our game plan going forward.
Finally, obviously as a team, you want to defend last year's title. Individually, what goals do you have for this weekend?
Being in the top 10.
Top 10.
Hopefully.
Well, Kayla, best of luck this weekend in Racine, hoping for a top 10 finish. We'll recap the weekend coming up next week on our show. And again, best of luck to the Falcon women's golf team as they try to defend their NAC title. When we come back on the Falcon Focus podcast, we switch gears to men's soccer and talk with Cristian Tyrpak as they get ready for a busy week with matches against Edgewood and against Aurora. Stay tuned. You're tuned into the Falcon Focus podcast. Welcome back to the Falcon Focus podcast, talking now men's soccer with sophomore Cristian Tyrpak, as again the men's soccer team will have a busy week coming up as they get ready not only for Edgewood but also Aurora back home at Fitting Field. That coming up on Saturday, where the men's soccer team right now is a perfect 4-0. And let's begin by kind of flashing back to your days at Hartford. As an Oriole, you ranked third on the school's all-time scoring list, 7th on the points list. You were a two-time first-team all-conference performer, all-state honorable mention as a senior. What are some of your memories from your prep career?
Honestly, just playing with my friends. High school was a great experience for me in terms of soccer. I felt like Jack DeSalm was a great coach that helped me grow as a player and really get to the point where I was ranked on those lists so high. My junior year obviously was a great year, winning regionals. I think that was one of my greatest memories of high school.
You mentioned Jack DeSalm, a longtime coach. I know he's known in the Mequon area too. He's had some time over at Homestead. But as a coach, what kind of a coach was he? What was his expectations for his players?
He was very consistent with his techniques. He liked to stick to the same tactics every year. He really allowed us to grow and at our own rate. He pushed us, but was very supportive of us in times where we may not have been feeling the ball as much or we needed to pick things up. So I think his techniques were great and definitely carry over into things past high school soccer.
You played in the now defunct Wisconsin Little 10 Conference, now Hartford, part of the North Shore Conference. But as far as rivals go, who are some of the teams that brought the best out of Hartford?
Definitely Slinger. Those were our big-time rivals. Nobody liked them at Hartford. Slinger didn't like Hartford at all. I guess the West Bends too, both East and West. but I think Slinger was definitely that one team that we wanted to beat every year. No doubt about it.
You had a great high school career, and you obviously hope that carries over, but at the collegiate level, different roles, different expectations. You've had a great start to your collegiate career, but I guess going in, what were your expectations for your first college season?
Honestly, touching the field, getting as many minutes as possible was important for me. Getting a feel for what the game is like at this level. It's completely different than high school. It's more physical. You don't have as much time on the ball. You need to be quicker thinking. My goals were just to get a feel for it, get some time under my feet, and then be able to come into the future seasons and really take full flight.
That first season, you played in 17 matches, made a couple of starts, had 7 goals and a couple of assists. Were you pleased with the progress you made in that first season?
Yeah. Obviously, I hold myself to a really high standard. I feel like I could have done better in the season. There were some opportunities I had that maybe I should have put away or I should have set up somewhere else. But all in all, I think I had a great first season in college, and I'm looking to improve on it this year and possible further years.
Your first career goal came in a victory last year against Marion. Do you remember that first goal at all?
Yeah, it was very relieving. I had missed some sitters earlier in the year, and I was really anxious just to get that first goal on my feet, get myself flowing, and putting it in the back of the net was a great feeling, just to feel a weight lift off my shoulders.
Not that there was any doubt if you belonged here or not, but that kind of gave you some justification, like, hey, I can play at this level.
Yeah, it definitely did. I felt like I needed something to warrant being here, and that goal definitely was what I needed to keep me going.
One game that stood out from your first season was that 5-4 wild overtime victory against Wisconsin Lutheran. You had a couple of goals. The team was down 4-1 with less than 20 minutes left in regulation. What do you remember about that game?
Not much. It was a wild ride. Obviously, getting the 2 goals in, getting set up by the teammates is most important. The great ball by Josie, the great ball laid back by Dib to tie it up. But that game just really shows that you're never out of the game, that you can always come back, and I think we need to carry that into this season, especially when it comes to conference play. We're never out of a game, and we can always make it back.
So what was your mindset after having 1 year under your belt, going into the off season, coming into your sophomore year, kind of your preparation? What were you thinking? What did you feel you needed to work on?
I needed to work on my finishing. Obviously, I had a few goals from last season, but being a striker, I hold myself to a really high standard. I think I should be putting away every single chance I get, and I didn't do that last year, and I haven't been doing it this year. So that's something we can always improve upon as a forward. But just fitness-wise in general too, and strength. Strength is definitely my strong point. I'm not the fastest guy, but I can use my body to get in front, and so bulking up and getting some size back on was definitely one of my big goals for the season.
So far, 3 goals, 1 assist. All 3 goals have come here at Fitting Field. Are you pleased so far at the start? You look. I mean, you mentioned you hold yourself to a high standard. I mean, are you looking for more, or are you kind of?
Oh yeah, I'm always looking for more. My role, I don't look at myself as a scorer as much anymore. More so, just trying to get a goal in the back of the net somehow, whether it comes from me or it comes from a teammate. There's some chances that I should have put away this year that I need to work on finishing more, being more consistent with finishing. But all in all, I think it's off to a decent start, and that I have something to improve upon as the year goes on.
I'm glad you brought up role, because I know you've been used in a couple of different ways this season. In some instances, you've been in the starting 11. Others, you've been coming off the bench, as has been the case last couple of matches. Do you feel like you know your role right now, or do you think it's always evolving?
I feel like it's evolving, but I know where I stand. Obviously, not being in the starting lineup, it's not a huge deal to me. Tyler Salvador's been having a great season. He deserves those minutes, and I feel as if coming off the bench, I am able to perform at my best ability, because I can help provide for that team, give them a little boost when they're getting a little tired out, a little way into the half.
Of course, you go from playing for a coach like Jack DeSelm to now playing for Dr. Tom Seleska, and I'll ask you the same thing. Maybe what have you learned from him? What kind of expectations does he have for his players?
He just wants us to give our 110% every single game, every single practice. He doesn't want us to taper off, think any game is easy. Obviously, the Benedictine game, losing to them this year, but beating them last year. We can't take any previous season and take it and put it into this season. He loves to push us. He loves to get us grinding. But honestly, most important thing is just pushing us to not give up and always keep pushing into the games, whether we're losing or winning, to not stop.
Wrap it up by asking you about the team, and of course the men's team, defending regular season conference champs. They've won 2 of the last 3 regular season titles. This year predicted to be right there again. Dominicans expected to be the team to knock off. And I know you guys are a couple of conference matches in already, but if this team is to find a way to win its 3rd regular season conference championship in the last 4 years, in your opinion, what needs to happen?
I think the most important thing is we need to start finishing the ball. We've had tons of shots each and every game, more than 20 each game, I think, but we're not converting at a rate that we should be. Once we start putting those balls in the back of the net, then I think we'll be great for the season. I think our defense has been sound. I think they've been working fantastic to try and keep the goals as minimal as possible. But I think the biggest part is getting those balls into the back of the net and finally start scoring at the rate that we should be.
Well, Cristian, thanks a lot for your time. Best of luck this week and going forward. And again, you can see the men's soccer team in action here at Fitting Field this Saturday. Aurora will be the opponent. Falcons want to stay perfect at home. They have to face Edgewood, though, first in Madison. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Falcon Focus podcast as we take a look at the week ahead in Falcon athletics.
You know, God never intended for us to live a comfortable life. He created us to go outside our comfort zones, to use our gifts and talents in the service of others, to live a you-first life in a me-first world. At Concordia University, it's our mission to prepare you for that path.
Welcome back to the Falcon Focus podcast. Love being live. You just never know when we are, but we are. And we're on Facebook Live and archive on CWFalcons.com. Go just download the audio, Podbean. You can find that link at CWFalcons.com as well. But again, we're with you every Tuesday, live from 9:30 to 10. And we are right outside the Falcons Nest Student Union. And again, hope you'll join us. And joined by guests on a regular basis. And we thank our guest this week with Kayla Haen of women's golf. And, of course, men's soccer with Cristian Tyrpak. And, again, they have busy weeks. It is a busy week. It's always a busy week. Right now in full swing here in the fall season. And taking a look at the week ahead, things get going here tonight, Tuesday, the 25th of September. Women's tennis will be in action against Marion at 4 p.m. The women's tennis team off to a 6-0 start. They're 5-0 in conference play. They've won 33 consecutive conference matches. They've also won 12 straight on their home courts. Wednesday, tomorrow, men's golf will be hosting the CUW Triangular with MSOE and Carthage. Also a note, women's soccer, home against Edgewood. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff. They look to stay perfect in league play. If you cannot be at Fitting Field in person, we'll have the game broadcast for you on the Falcon Athletic Network. Women's volleyball, they will be taking on Concordia Chicago down in the land of Lincoln. They will serve up set 1 of best of 5 at 7 p.m. Note the women's volleyball team, they began the season in winning their 3rd consecutive CIT volleyball championship. They knocked off Concordia Chicago 3-0 from Ann Arbor. Looking to do likewise, but this time in conference play. Men's soccer searching for their first road win of the year. They will be at Edgewood 7 o'clock in Madison tomorrow night. Friday, women's golf, part of a 3-day stretch, Friday through Sunday, 3 days, 54-hole championship. As again, they look to defend their NAC title with the NAC tournament. That again from Meadowbrook Country Club in Racine, Wisconsin. Cross country's back in action. They will be at the UW Eau Claire Blue Gold Invite. That is taking place on Friday. Women get underway at 4:15, men at 5:15. Back in action for the first time since the 8th of September. Men's tennis Friday and Saturday at the ITA Regional Championship. Women's volleyball is home on Friday against El Verno. They serve up set 1 at 7 p.m. And again, if you cannot be inside the John Book Fieldhouse, we'll broadcast for you on the Falcon Athletic Network. Mentioned ACHA men's hockey. They got their season started this past weekend. They're back in action this weekend against DePaul, both on Friday and on Saturday. Both drop into the puck at 8:30 p.m. Saturday, the 29th of September, women's tennis is at Wisconsin Lutheran at 10 a.m. At El Verno at 2 p.m. Women's volleyball, they head to Waukesha. They have a matchup against not only Carroll at 12 noon, but also against UW Eau Claire. They will get things started around 2 p.m. Football, 2-1, coming off their bye week conference opener at Benedictine. They will kick things off at 1 p.m. in Lisle. Women's and men's soccer doubleheader at Fitting Field coming up on Saturday against Aurora. 1 p.m., 3:30 p.m. for the 2 respective matchups. And again, if you cannot be here in person, the broadcast for you on the Falcon Athletic Network. We mentioned ACHA men's hockey. Field hockey, they will be in action as well coming up on Saturday at Christopher Newport. Also note, They'll be in action against Randolph-Macon from Virginia coming up on Sunday. Women's soccer on Sunday taking on a very good non-conference foe in UW Lacrosse. That's at 2 o'clock, also on the Falcon Athletic Network. Sunday, triathlon will be in action. Men's golf, they have the MSOE Invitational on Sunday and Monday also at the Benedictine Invite coming up on Sunday. That's the week ahead for men's golf. And lastly, men's lacrosse announced their captains for the 2019 season. You can read about that and more. And again, look at the final stats, recaps of this upcoming week of Falcon Athletics at CUWFalcons.com. That's it for the Falcon Focus podcast. Hope you join us again next Tuesday. And again, we'll be live 9:30 to 10 here outside the Falcons Nest at the Student Union. Thanks for all involved in our broadcast. Until next week, thanks for joining us for the Falcon Focus podcast.